X.
Hello and good evening. My name is Palma Accardi and you are watching Tidal Flooding Talk. We are brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition and filmed live every Sunday night here at the Irish Pub in Atlantic City.
And a good Sunday evening to you, weekend before Labor Day. Good crowd here at the Irish Pub. I'm meteorologist Dan Skeldon, as always joined by my co-host, and we always bring you a tidal flooding related guest, and we're honored this week to have Bennie Tafoya from Ocean City. And Bennie's titles are too numerous for me to remember all of them, but we'll say he's a certified floodplain manager, application specialist, and just a kind of a tidal flooding expert to give you an unofficial title. Bennie, does that sound okay?
That sounds great.
I do like that title, Tidal Flooding Expert. Pretty good.
Hopefully, Palma and I will be eventually. By the time Tidal Flooding Talk is running for a year or two, we'll be tidal flooding experts like Bennie. But Bennie, thanks for being here. And as always, we just like to say, invite you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live in Mays Landing. I work in Ocean City, and I work with other communities in their floodplain problems, particularly their CRS programs. My duties with the City of Ocean City are numerous. I work as a CRS expert for them, but I also do GIS work and work on grants, especially floodplain mitigation grants, and have been relatively successful in bringing money to Ocean City in that regard.
That's great.
Now, you are a part of a group called the New Jersey Association for Floodplain Management. Can you tell us how that group got started and about your involvement with that group?
I can say some things. I can't go back to the original origins of the organization, but the NJAFM is a subchapter of the Association of State Floodplain Managers, which is our national organization. We have approximately 400 members currently in the organization. Our president is a fellow by the name of Andrew Bamf. We have a board of directors, and we have several committees. I happen to be chairman of the Stormwater Committee, which is why I'm here this evening to discuss whatever questions you may have in regards to floodplain management.
What do you think is the most important thing, that you think Ocean City residents should know that they don't know about, floodplain management, what they can do, what Ocean City is doing? What do you think? What's the one message, if you could only get one out there, this is what you want residents to know, or this is the most confusing or most misunderstood issue?
Well, probably the most important thing that Ocean City residents should be aware of. They should be aware of what elevation they're at. Consequently, they should have an elevation certificate, which is their key to how much they may have to pay in flood insurance costs. But basically, Ocean City residents should be aware they're on a barrier island, and at some point the entire island is going to flood, and they should be aware of the things they can do to mitigate whatever those floods may bring to them, whether it's a tidal flooding, hurricane, or other types of nuisance flooding. But be aware. Be aware that you're on a barrier island and what comes with living on a barrier island.
And that's not unique to Ocean City. I mean, where that's your duties are, of course, that's any barrier island really in New Jersey or I don't want to say anywhere, but New Jersey is especially vulnerable to the tidal flood.
Well, yeah, New Jersey's especially tidal flooding for the shore communities, but in New Jersey we have meadowlands, we have highlands, we have pinelands, and we have the shore. Each of those sections of the state are subject to a type of flooding.
Right.
On the shore, we're particularly susceptible to tidal flooding, the hurricanes, things like that. But the other parts of the state are subject to riverine flooding and other types of flooding.
And you can get it all the way inland to Mays Landing where you are,
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned elevation certificate. Could you tell us the importance of an elevation certificate and maybe some of the items that are identified about each property?
Well, elevation certificates are a requirement of FEMA for you to be able to purchase flood insurance. Without an elevation certificate, you can't purchase flood insurance. So the elevation certificate basically tells you where your lowest floor is in relation to the base flood elevation, which is the elevation that the community would see in a 100-year storm. So you definitely want to be above the base flood elevation. The elevation certificate identifies certain things about your property, the type of house you have, the relation to where you're at in the floodplain, what flood zone you may be in. There's different flood zones. There's X zones, which means you don't have to have flood insurance, but primarily most communities on barrier islands are in the O zones and consequently have to have flood insurance. Or if you're right on the beach, you're in a V zone and you pay a little more for flood insurance.
Now, what are the types of flooding that, coastal residents, and we'll take Ocean City as, you're perhaps most familiar with Ocean City, but, flooding comes in all sizes, all shapes, and all types. What are some, we call this show Tidal Flooding Talk, and, tidal's one of them, but you want to go down the different types that coastal residents, or even inland residents, who live, in areas that could be impacted by flooding. What are the different types that they can experience?
There are several types. The nuisance flooding is probably what you're most familiar with when you live on a barrier island. And nuisance flooding is as a result of rain. Excessive rain will cause the sewers to maybe back up because they can't handle the capacity. Most of our communities on the shore are very old. The drains can't handle the outflow because climate change is affecting what kind of storms we're seeing these days, the depths of them. And then we have tidal flooding, which is the result of, I guess tonight we may experience tidal flooding. We have a full moon tonight, I believe, and tides tend to rise with a full moon.
They do.
What do you think, Dan?
A little bit. Nothing major, but there could be something minor. Absolutely. I know as a resident, I used to live in Ocean City, 26 in Asbury, and back there by the wildlife preserve, it always floods. And I know there's been an ongoing project back in that area for a long time. Hopefully to alleviate flooding. Do you want to tell a little bit about what Ocean City is doing there?
Yeah, we have several projects ongoing in the city. The project you referred to is what we call the 24th to 36th Street project. We're putting in very large drains and doing a lot to mitigate the flooding in that area of town. We're also doing projects in the south end of town with we're putting in pumps to pump out the water. When it comes in down in the north end of the island, we're working with an $8 million FEMA grant we got to install pumps. So we're doing an awful lot on the north end to alleviate flooding there also. So we had three major projects going on with regards to trying to alleviate the flooding in Ocean City.
And is that a key, like modernizing the infrastructure? You said a lot of the towns are old, a lot of the drains are old, sewers are old. I mean, is that one way we can combat it? And that's one way coastal towns are trying to stay ahead of the tide.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yes, they are. As a matter of fact, Atlantic City just opened up in the past week or so. I think they had a dedication of an old sewer system they had. It was put in 100 and some years ago, and it had been had gone into decay. They managed to get a FEMA grant thanks to a group that works on mitigation grants in the area, and that's all you can do when you're on a barrier island is try to mitigate the flooding. You're never going to eliminate it, so you can put in things to drain out the water, like flood pumps. Can elevate your home, definitely, if you want to stay down the shore, because we're going to see more and more flooding as time goes on.
Now, your group, the NJAFM, holds a conference once a year right here in Atlantic City. So can you tell us a little bit more about that conference and if the public can attend, how they can register?
Well, the public can definitely attend. NJAFM is holding probably our 7th conference in Atlantic City. It's held at Bally's annually. It's a 3-day conference. The public is welcome to attend. We look for all of the certified floodplain managers in the state to attend. We have plenary sessions. We have great speakers. We have all types of flood-related sessions going on during the conference. We have an exhibit section, so people can visit the exhibits between sessions that they might be attending.
And I think I've been to one. And is this the conference where when towns climb the CRS ladder, they're kind of presented with awards and, am I speaking out of turn? They receive recognition for, doing the additional steps to climb that ladder.
We definitely have award ceremonies, and quite often when a community has reached the next level, and for those of you that don't know, the community rating system works on a level basis. You start at a higher number at 10, you work your way to 1, and the greater your level or the lower your number, the greater your discount is on flood insurance. So
and Ocean City right now is a
level 5,
okay,
which equates to a 25% discount on flood insurance. And since you asked about Ocean City, I'll throw a plug in for our program
Absolutely.
here. Ocean City happens to have the highest ratables in the state in terms of flood insurance. And at our CRS program saves the residents of Ocean City in excess of $4.6 million a year on flood insurance premium. Margate happens to save over $1.5 million a year in flood insurance. So the program is very effective and is meaningful in terms of dollars saved.
Absolutely.
And is that discount automatic for the homeowners?
It is. Your flood insurance bill has a section on it that states the level of discount you've received. And if you get a flood insurance bill and there's no discount column on it, you should call your flood insurance agent and let him know that it's not there. That's very good point.
And we always mention, Seattle City is what other towns acclimate to because they're at a 3, right?
They are.
How hard is it? Is it feasible in New Jersey to get to a 1?
Well, there's only one community in the entire United States, and happens to be a California community that is a level 1. It's very difficult. It's going to be extremely difficult for Sea Isle or any community to get much better than a 2 if we can even get there.
But there are a lot of towns up and down the Jersey Shore which, 3 is definitely attainable. A 4 or a 3, climbing the ladder for more of our communities is still definitely something they're striving to do.
Yes, matter of fact, in Ocean City, we're hoping that when we get our cycle visit, as your levels change, your cycles change too. We used to get a cycle visit once every 5 years and a recertification visit every year. When you get to a level 5, you're now in a 3-year cycle. And a cycle visit is almost like starting over again. I mean, they look at everything and say, you do have enough points to stay where you're at or to jump a level.
So what you're saying is, if you're certified at a Class 5, it doesn't mean you're at a Class 5 forever. They come back and check your work?
They do. You have to recertify every year. Margate happens to be in the throes of their cycle as we speak. Ocean City will be going through their cycle in December. Hopefully we'll catch up to Sea Isle. At that point, we think we have the points. It's a matter of the CRS community recognizing the points that we do have and awarding us. There are definitely there's prerequisites that you have to have, such as a watershed management plan, a severe repetitive loss area analysis, and several things.
And that's one of the things that, I think is the benefits of the Coastal Coalition. It's not where Sea Isle's trying to keeping everyone else out and saying, all right, we want the only 3. It's everyone sharing ideas and saying, hey, we want you to, we want to help out. We want to, tell you what we did. And it's Ocean City sharing ideas with Ventnor and Ventnor sharing ideas with Wildwood and so on and so forth, where, ideally everyone's going to be at the same level one day, right?
That's right. Tom Quirk and the Coastal Coalition have done a great job, but NJAFM is made up of CFMs from the entire state, and the committees that we have are there for the explicit purpose of working with the townships, the towns in the state to help them achieve a better CRS rating. And the CRS is not only about insurance, it's a way to take a deep look at your community and see how prepared you are to withstand flooding of any type.
Now, how do you think the New Jersey Coastal Coalition and the NJAFM can work to improve public safety and public awareness?
Well, certainly the Coastal Coalition is doing a wonderful thing here by doing this broadcast. The Coastal Coalition started off with a few communities in the state. It was just Cape Atlantic, and now it's the New Jersey Coastal Coalition, so they are expanding. They're making the state more aware of, flooding of various types, nuisance flooding. Got a lot of interesting programs. They're putting cameras in severe flooded districts. They're putting out warnings. NJAFM is by my appearance here, and hopefully there'll be others from NJAFM that will speak to you guys. But we certainly have invited the Coastal Coalition to our conference, our annual conference. there's a desire to work together because we're bringing the same message to the community. So prepare for floods. Let us help you mitigate. Look for grants. Do the things that can help you get the full benefit of living in the shore community.
One question I always ask is, let's take Ocean City or any shore community really. Do you think Sandy and Jonas in recent, I don't know if they're 100-year storms or not, or Jonas was really bad in Lower Cape May County. Sandy was worse up to our north, but they were impactful storms here in South Jersey. Do you think they helped communities and residents, analyze their vulnerabilities and prepare for future storms? Do you think these storms kind of serve as tests or measuring sticks as to how ready we are?
Well, it did serve to wake the communities up. But as you're well aware, as time goes by and you haven't had a severe storm, people tend to forget how bad it was.
The memory span is pretty short. Yes.
And then you have you have people turning over in the communities, so the new people coming in aren't as aware of what could happen. So Sandy, if you were to look at the Ocean City webpage, we have a chart that shows the level of storms we've had in the past 50 years. And Sandy was by far the worst. It hit Ocean City, and as you mentioned, we weren't anywhere near as bad as from
LBI
and going north to New York and Long Island. They got it pretty bad, but they should serve as a very strong reminder of how susceptible a shore community can be to a hurricane. And as you probably are aware, Dan, Hawaii is getting pounded by a hurricane. I don't know where it stands today, but the past week they've had it pretty bad.
And they're not used to them either. They're
That's
usually immune. So yeah, I do think these storms wake us up to our vulnerability. I think you put it really well. So thank you.
And before we get to our Facebook questions, do you want to tell our viewers when the NJAFM conference is and how they could register if they care to go?
Well, you can very definitely register online. The conference is in October the 23rd through the 26th.
Okay.
You can just go to the NJAFM webpage and register online.
Oh. We have a prop from an audience member. Save the date, October 23rd to the 25th.
And normally, late October is a quiet time of the year. Normally, it's after the peak of hurricane season and before the peak of nor'easter season. But, we've had both strong nor'easters and hurricanes in late October, especially in recent years. So
October was Sandy.
Sandy was October 29th, and we had a couple of big nor'easters, a couple of previous Octobers as well. So we're hoping for good weather for the conference and good attendance. And like you said, it's open to the public, right?
It is, yeah. And we encourage anyone with an interest in flooding or flood-related aspects, especially the administrators who are the community administrators are the toughest people to wake up and get working on flood-related issues rather than being reelected.
So Dan, any questions?
So a lot of comments tonight. We appreciate all of them, guys. Again, you're always free to come on down here to the Irish Pub and watch live and converse live about flooding or anything else after the show. Or again, you can always chime in online. Donna Rando, Kristen Kaiser, Susan DeRoss, Lauren Yelmer. Nice to have you guys. Pat Counselor says thanks for keeping us informed, Pat. From behalf of the Coastal Coalition, you're welcome. Ken Martin, Joanne Melfi. Nice to have you guys on. Roger Cope, Claire Lafferty says, love your shows, guys. John Adams. Love the show, love the Irish pub. So
Us too.
I love going there. We love the Irish pub too. In fact, I'll be having dinner at the Irish pub shortly after this as well. So again, thanks for all the questions and comments, guys. And we are here at 7 p.m. every Sunday. Not next Sunday. It's Labor Day weekend, and we figured. I mean, Benny, you're not going to be talking tidal flooding on Labor Day weekend, right?
I hope not.
Not if your wife has anything to say about it, right? You guys are hopefully going to be cooking out or beaching or barbecuing. So we are going to take a rare week off, but we have very few weeks off, and we'll be back 2 Sundays from now.
But you can still be aware that the flooding can come anytime. And so don't, if you're in the shore, just keep listening to Dan and his colleagues to see what's going on with respect to flooding.
And we had that big Labor Day weekend scare a few years ago with Hermine, and thankfully nothing happened because it could have been as bad as Sandy, and of course it wasn't anything. But yeah, Labor Day weekend's approaching the peak of hurricane season, so very good point.
Well, on behalf of the New Jersey Coastal Coalition and the Irish Pub, Benny, we would like to present you with an Irish Pub t-shirt.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
And again, thank you for watching. We are here almost every Sunday. We
Almost
are
every
here
Sunday.
every Sunday except next Sunday.
Yes. I have no other planned days off for the rest of the year, and if anything, we're hoping to bring you, a couple of additional shows. We got some shows planned along the Jersey Shore on the ocean side, the Bay side, and maybe a little farther up the coast as well. Stuff coming up farther down the pipeline. So, Benny, appreciate you being here. Take
Thank
us down
you.
on
Thank you,
Sunday,
Benny.
Thank you very much.
and we'll see you guys back here soon.
Have a great night.
Thank you.